Hello, everybody. My name is Ellisa Cooper, and I am here to talk a little bit about my experience with wine study and relate that a little bit to the movie Uncorked. To give you a little background on my life, and I will do it quickly, I started singing near to professionally when I was in high school. I started studying classical music at a nearby university when I was a freshman in high school. I went to college on an opera scholarship. I did musicals, theater, opera for 15, 17 years. I moved to New York during that period of time, and while living in New York, all through my 20s, I worked at restaurants. The Michelin Guide was not scoring restaurants in New York or in the United States at that time, but many of the places that I worked in my 20s went on to be Michelin-starred restaurants. I left the restaurant business and took a little break trying to figure out what I wanted to do next, and I worked at a very, 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 very Tony jeweler, and I then took that experience and worked in the Diamond District in New York for a few years. I got interested in wine when I'd always been interested in wine because I worked in restaurants. I'd been a big wine drinker my whole life, but I'd never studied wine in a rigorous sort of way. So what I did, what happened was in the early aughts, I was working with a group of people. We were trying to start a music company. We had raised $20 million. We were well on our way to getting launched when Napster lost their file sharing case before the Supreme Court. And between 9-10 in the morning, when the decision was starting to be read, and 11 o'clock that morning, we lost all of our funding. So we started up again to try to find a project to build, and one of the partners came to me and said, "You know more about wine than anyone I know. Read this business plan. I'm pretty sure wine is about to start making double-figure growth." So we managed to secure the funding to open what was, in the United States, hello Mayor, one of the very first wine stores to incorporate technology in the store. So we had a small 500-600 SKU inventory whereby we tried to hit all of the important AVAs, appellations in every country. And then there were 11 kiosks where you could scan the barcode of every wine and get all the information that you could possibly want, because we built the store specifically to address the question that so many people feel so overwhelmed by wine. It's so much information to have to be able to understand wine truly. So we wanted to make it so that people could educate themselves, and then everybody on the floor was highly knowledgeable too. So that if you felt a little or needed clarification, or you felt a little emboldened and wanted to start learning how to have conversations about wine, that was always there as an opportunity. So the reason I tell you all of this is to, again, go back to that original question that I wanted to answer, which is, how long does it take to study to be knowledgeable about wine? How much time should I invest in it? What do I need to do to be a wine expert, to get to my Master Somm, to get to my MW? And so I'm going to tell you that story I just told you about my life tells you that from the time I was in high school, I was exposed to all the Western European languages: French, Italian, Spanish, and English. So I had at least a great knowledge of phonetically how to pronounce everything that came across the page to me. That's not something that everybody starts with, right? A lot of people have to jump that hurdle, learn a new language, learn pronunciation that's foreign to them. So I already had that going for me. As I said, I had spent all of my 20s working in restaurants, many of which later went on to get Michelin stars. So I had a functioning knowledge of wine countries, wine regions, grapes before I went into this. I'd been, like I said, a musician and in theater for many years, so I already had great memorization skills. And not everybody has those things going into this. So what I will say is there is no right answer, right? The next thing I'm going to say is that when I went to wine school, I not only was taught by the greatest somms in New York City, but it was my job. I was opening a wine store. My job paid for my wine school. I was going to wine tastings all day, every day, or people were coming here to my apartment with bags overflowing with wine. I had every opportunity to sample every grape, every major region in a very tight amount of time. So not everybody's going to have that opportunity. Even if you're working in a great restaurant, depending on where you are, you may or may not have a generous boss who lets you taste things. If you don't have that opportunity to taste, you're never going to get there. That's just all there is to that. So what I will say is it has to be a personal thing. You're not going to memorize complex things if you're exhausted from working a double shift on the floor. That's not going to be practical or pragmatic for you. So what I did when I went to wine school, since I had class on Mondays, I would work all Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Monday afternoon, Tuesday, Wednesday, all through the week. I always gave myself Saturday off, but I studied from 11 a.m. until 11 p.m. every Sunday and went to class for 6 months. And yeah, I got to the place where I feel comfortable when my friends who were master somms and masters of wine want to talk about wine. I listen as much as I can, but I feel comfortable that I'm not going to ask a stupid question. So that's all I wanted to say is just don't, for anybody who sees this, anybody who's in the process of studying, anybody who's set that high goal for themselves to be a master, to be that. The reason I say all this is that it seems like, pardon me, I'm sitting on a heating pad and it's really hot, that it seems like the timeline in the movie Uncorked is only about a year or two, right? And I just want to say to you people out there who are studying that you're not going to learn what you need to learn in a year or 6 months. It's going to take a lot longer than that. Some of the smartest people I know, it took them a decade to get there. So enjoy the movie Uncorked. It was really sweet. But don't think you're going to go to school and be ready to even begin to sit your master exam in the next 5 years. So that's all. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. I'm burning up in here. Whew. Sorry about that. Anyway, I thank you all for dropping by, and I'm going to post this on my wine study group. And that's all. Ciao, guys.